City Petals, an idea and invitation we'd like to share with you today.
We're both choreographers and dancers, so we'll be sharing this idea with you through movement. Back in January, Hannah and myself began to collaborate and create a duet together. We decided we wanted to reflect on some of our own questions and difficulties that we were having with our own environment, London, aiming to encourage our audience to think about their awareness of city environments and to remember that nature is still very vital for our needs as well.
We are hopeful that as we move into the future, as a society, we can continue to embrace the ever-expanding ways to express ourselves, whether that be digitally, physically, or spiritually. For us, our prioritized form of expression is movement. So we will share our reflections with you today through dance.
Dancers are often asked how they came up with the movements they create. So before we perform, we'd like to share with you some of our creative process, how we translated our ideas into movement.
To begin, we thought about London's physical space, its architectural layout. We looked deeper into the transport network with its many grids and lines, and considered how we could convert the space onto stage. We also thought about our relationship to this space. How do people interact within the city?
How people would follow the correct arrows in the underground, masses of people just relying on that information to successfully navigate their way through the city. At times we'll take this idea literally by moving through the space on stage in rigid lines and directions, while in other moments we completely blur those lines on purpose. Perhaps, if we left a trace on stage of where we had used the space, a very disfigured version of the London Underground tube map might appear.
Whilst the science is something we can trust, understandably, the tubes and escalators are packed full of all kinds of advertisements suggesting how we should be living our lives, from how we dress, to what phone to buy next, or what kind of diet plan we need. This kind of topic of consumerism was something we felt we could not ignore, as it plays a massive pressure on the people of London. But it's also something that makes London tick. It's kind of like a cycle, almost unavoidable.
Our translation of this idea is reflected in our movement through various forms of manipulation, tricking one another with attractive gestures that the other might follow, or physically readjusting the other's body to a specific position. These moments lead to suffocation or some form of physical struggle, to express our reflection that consumerism can be impossible to keep up with and could eventually drown us.
One of the most significant developments of this century is the smartphone. What an incredible tool. Every day, our access and ability to communicate worldwide becomes easier and easier through this device.
I can be in Brixton when Hannah invites me to meet her in a coffee shop near King's Cross by sending me a live location. In a matter of seconds, my phone has calculated how to get to her and how long it might take me. Furthermore, it can tell me where the nearest station is and how soon the next bus or tube might arrive. So, I begin this journey. I hold my head down, my chest closed. I'm sure many of you recognize this as a common posture in this day and age.
So, although our accessibility to communicate has become almost instant, what kind of effect is this having on our relationships to each other and to our space?
Hannah once said to me in rehearsal, it's like people have their heads in the sand, from which we literally took this posture and flipped it upside down. To put their head in the sand, so to speak.
What kind of effect is this having on our relationships, to each other and to our space? What are we missing out on by not looking up as often? The beauty of nature, and what about the small population of animals left in the city?
We seem to be having less moments where we actually remember that we're a part of the natural world as well. We don't need to live our lives through a virtual reality. These devices are a tool and should remain just a tool, not something we've become totally dependent on.
Finally, we thought about the rhythm of the city. The routines, the repetitions, the rush. The expectations we set for ourselves and for others around us. We wanted to find a balance between the pace of the city and the flow of nature.
For us, this balance was achieved by recognizing human breath, a natural rhythm, something we can't ignore, something always present in us but often forgotten. We explored the flow of breath by channeling it through spirals and momentum, as well as sharing each other's weight and connecting our rhythm through the breath. This was also reflected in our musical choice. It's a beautiful piece by Johann Johansson.
This track creates like an ambient quality, an atmospheric state of flow. At times, we are sometimes harmonious with, and at other times disruptive of. The track created a blanket for us, kind of like the vibrations within nature, and like the breath within the city.
When creating City Petals, we explored many themes and many ideas. Today we've only offered you the recurring themes and the most significant ideas.
But our real hope with this message, with this piece, is to encourage people to be City Petals.
Embrace your city, your environment, get to know how it thrives and connects.
Let's develop our creative voices as the next generation,
Remaining conscious of our choice to embrace these tools.
whilst remaining true to human connection and nature's flow.
Through finding that balance, may our creative expression flourish.